Y'all, if this trial gets any dumber, I swear. Welcome back to day 9. Today was a short day because multiple things happened and nobody's really sure exactly why we dismissed court at like 2:30, but we did, so whatever. It's going to be 2 parts to today's discussion with one pretrial issue. So, shouldn't be too many videos today because honestly not a whole lot happened, but then a whole bunch happened. But I am not an attorney. I cannot interpret legal documents, so I am stuck going on the explanations of people on the internet. So, we'll see. Also, yes, I'm growing a friend on my chin. She will be present for this entire video and probably tomorrow's. Alright, first things first, before trial today, the defense filed a paper motion for a mistrial. If you remember, towards the end of yesterday, they filed a verbal motion for a mistrial claiming that the presentation of multiple pictures over and over and over again was causing the jury to have anger towards the defendant and was not relevant. The defense argued that basically this was just... Sorry. Basically, the defense argued that this was just an attempt by the prosecution to sway the jury against George Wagner, further helping their case. The prosecution claims that all of this information is necessary so that when Jake Wagner does eventually take the stand, it corroborates what he says about the crime scenes, therefore giving him credibility as far as saying that his brother was on these crime scenes with him. But then also the prosecutor said loud and clear that Jake Wagner's a liar, so good job. Anyway, obviously that motion was denied again. The defense pointed out that they are still in the midst of a ongoing objection to the photos that are being shown, saying that they are irrelevant, that the defense is not arguing that the person was not murdered or that all 8 people were not murdered. They are not arguing the method of death. They are only here for the complicity part, and the prosecution still claims that this is relevant. Ultimately, the judge agrees with the prosecution. This is going to continue to happen probably every day. So today we only heard from one witness. We got to hear from former BCI agent Brian White, who now works at the Madison County Sheriff's Office. Didn't know we had a Madison County. I don't know where that is. This was the agent who was in charge of scene 3, which was Dana Roden's house. And if you remember, there are also objections saying that her house is not actually in Pike County, but Scioto County. Go to part 2. All right, part 2. Former BCI agent Brian White in charge of scene 3, which is Dana Roden's house. Again, if you didn't catch that at the end, there is an ongoing objection that this house is actually located in Scioto County. I did a little digging on the Scioto County Auditor's website, and turns out it is in Scioto County. I doubt that this is going to make any kind of difference, but I do believe that upon conviction, this might give them something to bring up in their case for an appeal or a mistrial. So I cannot stop yawning. I'm sorry. All right, scene 3, Dana Roden's house. If you do remember, this is where the bodies of Dana Roden, her son Chris Jr., and Hanna Mae Roden, the mother to baby Kylie, and the mother to little Sophia with Jake Wagner's bodies were found. He went over some minor damage that he located on the house. He could not rule if they were during the homicides or existed previously. Nothing major. They were showing the bloody crime scene photos of the victims in their beds as he found them. He did not go into the injuries really. But he did point out that he found footprints in the house. So I believe there's more than one footprint. I didn't watch this again today. I was just listening to it. So I kind of missed a few things. But again, today was just a clusterfuck. And honestly, not a whole lot got covered. Really, this only went from 9 to 11:45 a.m. because after that, shit just went off the rails. Anyway, Agent White did not say if these belong to George Wagner or any of his co-defendants, but they did show prints. Around 11:45 a.m., Angela Canepa pointed out to the judge that she had been going for almost 2 hours I'm pretty sure they have some kind of arrangement to where if they have been questioning for approaching 2 hours, I cannot stop yawning. Oh my God. I'm pretty sure they have an arrangement that if they have been reaching 2 hours of questioning, to let the judge know so that the jury can take a break and that everybody can take a break. She let him know around 11:45 that she'd been going for approximately 2 hours with the questioning, and they opted to take an early lunch. Don't know what time they were supposed to come back, but they didn't come back until 1:30, and the whole thing was done at 2:30. So when they came back, Judge Randy Deering at some point had these attorneys in his chambers because he was served papers that he's being sued by multiple media outlets. So head on over to part 3. We will get into the details about that and wrap up today because it ends right after that. All right, we're back for part 3. So as I mentioned, when they came back from lunch at 1:30, at some point there was a long break where the judges were in, or the attorneys were in the judge's chambers. Not sure exactly what they were discussing, whether it was the judge being angry about the mistrial or the lawsuit being filed against him. This is from multiple media sources. They filed an emergency restraining order, I think is what it said, but it's not an actual restraining order. Again, I'm not an attorney. I don't know what this is. Please don't roast me for not knowing what any of this is. Basically what it does is it files emergency motions because they say that the judge is illegally suppressing photo and video evidence from the court proceedings whenever he or the state pleases to do so. The representatives for all of these outlets, which includes the Side Valley Guardian, the Cincinnati Enquirer, WLWT, WCPO, Channel 12, I forget which channel that is. Several of these have been sources that I've been using, and then others as well. I think ultimately there's over 10 agencies that are on this lawsuit that are suing the judge for access to these materials. At first, I was pretty excited because I thought this meant that we would actually get to see like Sheriff Reeder and Jake and Angela Wagner's testimonies, but I don't think that's what this is. I think this is just over evidence pictures that are not being shown out of respect for the families. And I believe they even said at one point that in relation to the mistrial, that the defense is not objecting to the jury seeing these pictures. They are objecting to them being projected up onto the large screens for the audience to see. Today, there were 2 other members of the Roden family. There was Chris's brother and sister, I think. Yes, his brother and sister were in attendance today. Correction, there are not over 10. There are 7 media outlets that are filing the lawsuit against Judge Randy D. Deering. So that was filed while they were on afternoon break for lunch, and apparently while on break, one of the jurors, who is a diabetic, claimed she had a medical issue and was not feeling well. They didn't end up coming back until after 2:30, and the prosecutors started questioning again, and then just kind of out of nowhere, you hear one of the jurors, because you can't see them, say, "I need a break." And he goes into his instructions pretty quickly, and they leave. And after a while, they went back and decided to just adjourn court for the day. Go over to part 4. We'll discuss a few more things. So, some things that we learned today from scene number 3. It did not appear that there was any kind of forced entry into Dana's house. And out in the yard, the Special Agent White located and collected 2 cigarette butts and a $5 bill from laying in the backyard. Now it's important to note, the backyard is over by, there's a red barn on this property that they went into, but they said there was no evidence ultimately collected in there. And, they showed pictures of the inside, and part of it was finished and had a treadmill in it, and the other part was unfinished and just had like a gravel floor. So one of the cigarette butts that was found in the back door, near the back door in the backyard, tested positive for Hanna May's DNA, while the other did not have enough DNA on it for analysis, and there was a $5 bill laying on the ground that did not have enough DNA as well. Too lazy to save these pictures. These are from Evan Millward from WCPO. Here is a bucket in the backyard that he did not place, and there is the $5 bill. Here is the cigarette butt that had Hanna May's DNA. He said there was no evidence collected from the common areas of the house like the living room or the kitchen. And I will say they showed a couple pictures of the inside of Dana's house. Sorry, I'm reaching over. Dana's house is the only one of these houses so far that I would set foot in because her house was clean. Clean. Again, too lazy to do anything else, but here's the inside of her trailer. Now, I do believe they just moved in this a few weeks prior. And this is the first time I've seen a TV like that in a long time. But this was her living room. Look how precious baby Kylie's little crib is. So cute. Here's a picture of the front door lock. Somebody said that it looked like there was blood on it, but that's obviously paint. The first bedroom. Ooh, hold on. A news alert just showed up on my phone about the former Pike County auditor. We'll get into that too. So the first bedroom he went into was the body of 16-year-old Chris Jr. He was found in bed, lying on his stomach, and he was covered with a blanket partially. He did have blood down on his shoulder, indicating there was nothing covering him to absorb it. And I believe they said the boy was sleeping naked, which, I mean, you're 16. What are you doing? But, I mean, who am I to judge? So, if we have learned anything from this trial, it is to clean your damn house and sleep in some kind of clothes, because when you get murdered, it's going to be all over TikTok when some bitch from Ohio that don't even know you is going to be talking about it. He noted there was a backpack and a pair of boots in the room, and there was blood on the carpet by the bed. Whether it obviously came from Chris, but I don't recall them saying who it came from. I believe they said Christopher Jr. was shot 1 time, but I saw another thing that said 4 times, so let me double check that real quick. He was shot 4 times in the head. I am looking at it. Head on over to whatever the last part is. Part 5, final part for tonight. So he was in fact shot 4 times in the head. Their mother, Dana Roden, was also shot 4 times in the head. She was found in bedroom number 2, which was the second bedroom that Mr. White went to. She was covered with a comforter, and like we said earlier in the trial, she did have a pillow that was stuck to her head that he removed to find the scene underneath. Dana Roden is also the one that the prosecution alleges was actually awake when she was shot, and that the Wagners actually waited for her to come home from her double shift at the nursing home before shooting her while she was in bed playing on her phone. She did have a work schedule that was labeled STNAs on the top. That's how they knew she worked a double shift, but they also had her schedule laying there to confirm it. She was laying on her back in the bed, a pillow covering her face, and a pillow on her right-hand side. And when they removed the pillow, it was evident she had also been shot to death. And listen, I'm not going to talk about it here, but they got into a really disgusting detail about what can happen to the brain matter when you're shot in the head, because apparently it happened to Dana. If you're curious, you can look it up, but it's gross. So don't say I didn't warn you. All right, after finishing Dana's room, they processed the third bedroom, and that was the one of Hanna May, who was sleeping with baby Kylie. Hanna May was laying on her right side, I believe. She was laying with one breast exposed and one covered up. There were some pillows on the floor and one that had some blood stains. They said an opening statement and that she was nursing baby Kylie. And they have alleged that Jake made sure that her body was positioned so that the baby could continue to nurse, which is super fucked up. All right, when they came back from lunch, the prosecution briefly asked White about a half basement. Originally, it was said that Dana's house had a basement. It didn't. It had kind of like a cellar type of situation, but it hadn't been open in many years, apparently, and it was covered in cobwebs, dust, and mud. It's also important to note, if you saw the map of Dana's house in one of my other videos, that the back door that would have been by Dana and Hanna May's room was inoperable. That door, and I believe the windows on the back of the house, were covered in plastic and it was stapled on there and it had not been disturbed. They did take some footprints, and they said in Chris Jr.'s room they located a cell phone charger that was plugged into the wall, but the cell phone on the other end was gone, so they took it to look for trace DNA. Unfortunately, it was just Chris Jr.'s DNA on the charger. That's all for today. The juror got sick after this. Come back tomorrow for day 10. Hello, everybody. Nosy bitches and people that like to tell me that I'm an insensitive bitch. Like I don't already know that. Anyway, sorry I'm behind on the videos. I've been really busy at work. I'm working at my family business today, and then I have been busy at the salon as well. What's my hair doing? I am a couple days behind. I'm not going to have a video today other than this one, but I am going to probably get caught up tomorrow evening on last Friday, Monday, and today. Today's Monday. Monday and tomorrow. And we will get back on schedule with the trial videos. So let me know. Have you been watching? What do you think so far? And our friend is still here. You'll be happy to know. See you bitches tomorrow.